So we have got ourselves to this point here with our hand. If I go into edit mode, we can see that the UV vertices are in position, and from at a glance it looks well. It's not rendered, I mean it's rendered there. It's a bit shiny, and we can change the specularity of it, and play with these settings here for the shader and make it look more like skin and subsurface scattering and all that. But fundamentally it looks okay. But if we start to move in any way, we suddenly start to see some of the shortcomings here. So seams where things join, and in particular, although we can't see with the lighting, so let's just go back to textured mode here, these seams here are not great. So I'm just going to push a little bit of geometry around here. So what we need to do is we need to come up with a method of fixing some of these issues that we have with our this seam here, this bright and darkness, because that's not going to look good in our finished model, particularly because the way we're going to look at this hand is that way, because it's going to be a first person kind of shooter, first person rig that we're making. So sorry, just moving some of these around because it's too wide. And okay, a bit better. So let's have a look at some of the kind of techniques that we can use. Now we could jump into Photoshop, and we could make sort of a patch of skin, and we could bring it in as a texture, and we could draw on it. We could actually just open the image in Photoshop and see if we could clone some of the color from this side to that side. And fundamentally the problem is, if you look at the wrist here, this is quite dark. I mean, there is a minor kind of glow on that side, but this is much brighter than this. So where the two of them join, it just, you know, they're just two different pictures. So how do we fix that? So there's a set of tools in here ready to help us. So I'm going to go to Texture Paint, and in Texture Paint we go to textured mode, and this is our hand here, and this is basically a painting tool that we can paint directly onto this image here if we want, or we can paint in 3D. So I'm going to do this quite quickly just to kind of give you an idea. I'm going to use a couple of these tools here. So we've got a mask tool, so if we had an area that we didn't want to effect, we can draw a mask over it. We've got a draw tool, so we can draw directly onto the image, and you can see it change there. And I'm going to go Control Z with that. And then we have a smudge tool, and we have soften tool, and then a smear tool, and a clone tool, and then a fill tool. So redo. Okay, I seem to have removed my image here, so let's see if we can fix that. So this is our brush, and let's go to our shader, and we'll add our input texture coordinates, our UV, and so there's my hand. I go to Texture Paint, and there we go. Okay, so I can paint on this now. Okay, so I'm going to do this quite crudely. We'll start. This is the side of the hand that's most visible to us. So we'll start here and sort of practice on this side. So I'm going to go to the brush tools here, the draw tools, and I'm going to click on color and go to my pipette and pick the color that I want to draw, which is going to be that sort of shade there. I get to determine the strength of the brush. Now I am using my mouse I will bring in I normally don't do this with a mouse, I do it with a tablet because it's far superior. So I'm just going to draw over this. Now I haven't set this up strong because we'll get hard lines that I don't want. Oops. And it does not like when I press Ctrl Z, and that's a madcap. And let's jump back in here and do that. Okay, so I don't know if that's a little 2.8 bug, but anyway. So yeah, so I don't want to do that. I want to turn this strength down and kind of rub it over a few times and kind of blend it in. And we're trying to just get rid of the seam. Now, this is, you know, potentially creating another seam. So I'm just going to draw very crudely over it for now and see if I can hide this the seam. Now I'll have to, or I should, change the color of my that I'm drawing here as I change from space to space as the colors change. And also, just I should show you that's very possible I can paint directly on here, so I can find an area and work on it directly on the other side. Okay, so we'll just kind of blend this in a little bit. And then what we're going to do is, when we've got it approximately, we've taken sort of the very obvious line away, we're going to go back and use a different tool. So I'm just going to do a little bit more here. Now, we are losing sort of detail top and bottom of this, but you know, we can. That's the price we pay for getting rid of the seam. Now, obviously, some areas of the hand and the finger are more visible than others, so some need more attention than others. Okay, nearly there. And if you want to change the size of the brush that you're working on, you can press F and scale it up and scale it down. And now this is the bit that will be most visible. And we'll come back to the nail in a moment. Okay. Now, so what we're going to use now is this smear kind of tool. And we're going to try and just, smear the additional color that we've got and the existing color, kind of drag them into each other to try and get rid of. So we've removed one line, but we seem to have kind of replaced it with another sort of demarcation. So this will help us sort of blend the new color that we've added into the existing image. So we don't do too much or we'll lose all our detail. And you can see that I could spend quite a bit of time doing this, but I could get a decent, definitely improve my my results. And I have to be careful not to try and do too big an area. So I'm not going to spend too long in this, but you can see how if I did spend time, I could make it look considerably better than just drawing alone, although still far from perfect. And again, it's about how much detail are you willing to lose to sacrifice losing that seam. Okay, so now let's have a little look at this here, this thumb. So what I'm going to try and do here, this is a very basic sort of paint job here, and so let's click on color and pipette, click on that, and we will hang on, color, and there we go. So we're on our brush tool, so we're just going to try and brush across here. And I'm going to change my color to this sort of outline and press F and greatly reduce the size of my brush. Bring that across here. And then go back to this tool here, and using kind of the smear tool to sort of blur where one ends and one begins. Okay. So again, far from perfect, but better than what we had. Okay, so a couple of little things. So all of the changes that we have made here, if I go File and Save, I've just saved the blend file. I actually haven't saved any of the changes to this image. To do that, I need to go Image and Save. And it says here, saved image, so it's saved over the original image I was using. So these changes that I've made are now embedded or saved in that JPEG. Prior to me doing that, to going image save, they weren't. So if I'd closed, having saved the blend file, all of the painting I would have done excuse me, would have been lost. Okay, so and let's save that again. Okay, so that's the next stage in our hand, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to go back to object mode and go back to modeling, and we are going to add a very simple rig to this. I'm going to put some animation on it, and I'm going to then bring it into Unity to use as part of kind of an FPS. Before I do that though, I'm going to so realize that we haven't got an arm, so I'm going to go E and escape and scale up, and then E and scale up, and E as if it's some sort of sleeve. I'll rotate this and scale it. E. Okay, so quite crude and not at all arm-like. So I'm going to use a tool, that's playing when I hit spacebar. So I want to go is it edge? I want to use a tool which is to sphere is called, and I normally hit this. Hang on, I can go right click, no, left click, right click, vertex control menu. Okay, so let's find this tool. So we want to select that ring. I'm going to go vertex group, sucks, edge, mark seam, I do not see it. Where is the tool? And that's UVs, no. So where is my... I don't think this is it, so... No, that's searching the inspector. So... No. So forgive me here as I try to figure out how to find this tool. Okay, so let's just do it by hand. So I'm going to scale this slightly on Y, and I'm going to put on proportional editing. Oh, proportional editing. So scale on Y. And same with this here. Scale on Y. Okay, and we'll add in a loop cut there, and a loop cut there. Oops. Okay. Okay, so far from perfect, but an arm nonetheless. And the last thing that we need to do is we want to, so I'm going to go back to my materials, and we know that the hand is up here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new material, and I'm going to call this cloth. Excuse me. And I'm going to go to wireframe mode and just go select all of them and select all of that except the bottom. Actually no, I'll select the bottommost one as well. So select all them, and I'm going to assign this to that. So if we go to textured mode, we have our hand, so I can go over here now and I can give that sort of a dark blue. And make it very shiny if I want, and I can just make sure that I've got shade smooth on. Okay, now we'll take specularity out of that a little bit. There we go. Oop. Okay, and we can come back and add like a cloth texture to that later. Okay, so here is our arm, and we're going to start here. So I'm going to click my 3D cursor and place it here, and that's it in 3D space. And we are going to go Shift A add armature single bone. And we're going to go into edit mode and move this to the elbow, and then extrude this to the hand. So we have a so this is our forearm, and then this is going to be, oops, I'm going to extrude this in, and that's going to be our hand. Now we're going to name all these bones in a second. So this is going to be this bone here is going to be hand. Now I'm going to take this tip and I'm going to extrude it, and then go 1, 2, 3, and then 4. There's going to be an IK bone, so we're going to be asking the finger to follow that. I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to start in the knuckle, go 1, 2, 3, and this will be our IK bone. I'll do the same here. So 1, 2, 3, and our IK bone, and here. And then finally from here I'm going to bring myself to the base of the thumb, and go to here, and then here, and that's the IK bone. And then this bone, this one, I don't need them, so I'm just going to delete them. So delete bones, whoops, and but not that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will delete them first, and then this one, we'll delete that one. And you can see it's left these dotted lines in to kind of give us hierarchy, so what's connected to what. So we just need to name these now. So this is going to be our arm, this is going to be our forearm, and we're going to go, this is TH1, TH2, and then THIK. This is going to be pinky 1, pinky 2, pinky 3, and pinky IK. And this will be finger 1, and I can just go Control C for that, and then here Control V, and Control V, and then okay, and then this one's going to be mid 1, mid 2, it's definitely worth doing all this, I promise, mid 3, and mid IK. Normally you would have these .or or .l because you might have two hands, but we're just doing one for now. And finally, index 1, index 2, index 3, oops, 3, and then index IK. And then I need one more bone, which I'm going to extrude from here, and I'm going to extrude on Y. And I'm going to call this hand IK. And now the IK bones cannot, it's an up relationship, it can't have a parent. It would just make no sense in a loop if I tell this bone to follow this one, but this one is a child of that one, and therefore by being a child is following this one, then you're saying this one to follow this one to follow this one, and neither of them follow each other. So the IK bones have to have their parent turned off. So we do that in edit mode here. So we're selecting each of the IK bones, coming over here to the bone properties, and making sure that they don't have a parent, because if they do, we'll get errors later. So we're going to take the whole thing and we'll move it on the y-axis so that it's inside, and that's not too bad. I'm going to, in the skeleton settings, under display, turn on in front. So I can take this, move a little bit on Y. And I can do the same, I think, with all of the fingers. Let's move them slightly on the y-axis. And probably the same with the, it's going to turn off in front. Yeah. With the thumb. Okay. So now we have our hand, our arm, for our first person game, and we have a skeleton. And now we just need to join the skeleton and the arm together. So let's go to object mode and save this. And we are 26 minutes in, so we're not doing too badly. So I'm going to make that work now. So I'm going to connect these two together. So I'm going to go to my wireframe. So I'm going to select, I'm on 3D cursor. I'm going to select the mesh and then shift select the skeleton and go Control P, and I'm going to say with automatic weights. Now it doesn't seem like anything has happened, but if I select the mesh now, you can see over here it says vertex groups, and for every bone we've added there is now a vertex group. Now what's a vertex group? Well, let's have a look. I'm going to go into edit mode, make sure nothing is selected. This here, actually this is pinky 3 here, so let's go over to pinky 3. So pinky number 3 and go select. So they are the vertices associated with that bone. So when that bone moves, all those vertices will move too. Let's go to pinky 2 and go select. Now, that's kind of not what I want. I don't want all of those associated with it. So I'm going to go remove, and I'm going to go C. I'm going to remove these guys here. These ones down here, probably the bottom row of these vertices, and the top row here. So just that middle section. And now I'm going to go assign, and we'll go to pinky number 1 and select. And again, that's got half the hand associated with it, so we don't want that. So I'm going to go remove, and then C, and remove the non-relevant vertices. Otherwise, when this finger moves, half the hand will move as well. So assign. So now let's see. We'll go to pinky 3. Select. So we have this top bit. Now I'm actually going to remove this bottom layer here. So I'm going to go remove, and then assign. We'll go back to pinky 2. Select. Pinky 3. Sorry. Yeah, pinky 1 actually, and select. Okay, so you can see that these vertex groups determine what vertices are associated with what bones. And just finally, we should pick the pinky IK bone and go select. And if there's any vertices associated with that, that shouldn't have any, we'll go remove, and we'll do that for all the IK bones. So the little finger is fine. Let's go to this one here, which we call finger. So let's go finger 1 and select, and that's too much, so remove. And now there's nothing associated with that bone until we fix this. So get rid of all of them, and we'll probably want to get rid of that loop there, and maybe a little bit on that side. So that's finger 1, and we're going to go assign. Finger 2, select. Okay, so this is remove. Get rid of that. Whoops. Get rid of that loop and that loop, and then C. Take all that away. We can assign that one, and then finger 3, select, is not too bad, but again we'll go remove this bottom loop, and then assign, and then find the finger IK, select, and remove. So I'm going to go through this finger and the thumb, and then work my way up through the hand, which again is slightly laborious, but otherwise what we'll get is distortions. Like I said, the little finger will move, and then half of this part of the hand will also stretch or extend, because those vertices are associated with these bones. So when we said with automatic weights, we're asking Blender to pretty much guess what vertices should be associated with what bones, and the reality is that you kind of have to do it by hand, somewhat. So we'll assign this, but the so remove and assign. One other thing to be aware of is if you do it incorrectly, you can end up missing a vert, and then when the hand moves it will be left behind and just float in space. But normally mistakes like that are really clear and obvious. So we'll go select and remove, and a little bit like the texture painting and a little bit like the UV mapping, this is not a glamorous part of 3D modeling, but it is what will give you good results. So if you find this tedious, it is, but it will result in you getting the best results for your animations. We'll try index IK, select and remove, and okay. Now, so let's just do the thumb very quickly. So we'll go TH1, select, and go, well, we need to go remove, and then C. And assign that. And IK, remove that. And then the hand. Well, first of all, we'll go hand IK, select and remove, and find the hand bone. And we're going to go remove, and so that shouldn't be associated with the hand, and nor should any of those ones. Assign. Now I'm going to do actually we'll remove and assign. Okay, so we'll have to do a test in a moment to see if this works, but just very quickly before that, we're going to do the forearm and the arm. So forearm, select and remove, and I think we're starting here and going as far as there. So we'll assign that. And then for the arm, I'll remove that, we'll go to here, and all the rest. Assign. Okay, so let's see if it works. So I'm just going to save this quickly, and I'm going to select the armature, and I'm going to go to pose mode, and we're going to do some major movements. I'm going to go OR. So I've left a couple of verts behind, so let's see which ones. So OR, and was there one up here? No. So let's go back to object mode and select here, into edit mode, and this is our index finger, and there was index number 3 on select, and you can see there's a little bit not selected, so right B, and then I go assign. Now we select our armature again, and select the bone. So I'm going to, okay, so we have issues still with the top of the index finger, and we also have 1 or 2 issues here, and then we have we have a relationship issue here, so we need to go into edit mode and select the thumb. So that the thumb is the child of the forearm, and we actually want it to be the child of the hand. So when the hand moves, the thumb moves as well. So that's fixed now. And then let's select this mesh. So go back to object mode, and in here, and we will deselect everything and go into our index 3, select, and see. So this looks like it's working, so where's the problem? So I'm going to deselect, and then I'm going to go to index IK and select, and you can see there's still vertices associated with this, so they're trying to be in 2 places at once. They're trying to follow that bone but also follow this one, so I need to hit remove, and I'm guessing that's the same problem over here. So this is called finger, so I'll go to finger 3 and select, and there is actually a vertex missing there, so we'll select that one and go assign, and then we'll go to finger IK and select, and there's nothing selected. Okay, so that hopefully will fix that issue. So we select our skeleton, and we go to pose mode, select our hand bone, and we can move our hand, move our forearm, move our entire arm, move the thumb, and bend the top of the thumb, finger, 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 and finger. Okay, so that's working. It's not perfect, but it's working. Okay, so now we're going to set up some of the relationships on these bones. So this bone here, I'm going to go to the bone constraints, and I want to put in an inverse kinematic constraint, and it's giving me a dotted line all the way up here. So it's saying where is this inverse kinematic constraint? Well, it's going to be on the armature, and the bone I want is called index IK, is my target. And then it's saying how long should the chain be. So this bone here is going to control this finger. So chain length of 0 means that it goes all the way through the skeleton. So that would mean if I pull this finger, the entire arm would move, but I don't want that. I want it to be not 4 but 3. So I want this bone here, when I move it, to bend just the finger. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with this one here. Add constraint, inverse kinematic, armature, and we're looking at the bone there is called mid IK is the target, and it's got a chain length not of 4, of 3. And do the same here, inverse kinematic, armature, and this target is we call this finger IK with a chain length of 3, and we're going to have our inverse kinematic on the armature, and this is going to be the pinky IK, and again with a I'm going to delete that. I've put the constraint up here, I meant to put it on this one. So inverse kinematic, armature, where are you, pinky IK with a chain length of 3. Now we need the thumb is slightly different. It has the same sort of idea, but it's only got a chain length of 2. And then finally we've got this bone here, but it's this bone that's going to have the IK constraint. So inverse kinematic, and it's going to be on the armature, and it's the hand IK that I want to follow. Now I'm going to just remove this for a second and go back and add it again. Before I select the bone, I want to have a think about, you saw where it jumped, so let's take this, let's go into edit mode, and it's the tip of this bone that will follow it. So I'm going to go G and move it up here, but I'll never be sure if it's exactly in the right place. So I'm going to select this tip and go Shift S, so cursor to selected, and then I'm going to take the bottom of this, Shift S, and then selection to cursor. So I'm just going to snap them together, and then select this bone and go back into pose mode and tell it that it's the hand IK I wanted to follow, and now it doesn't snap or move. And this I'm going to leave with a chain length of 0, because that's going to go all the way up to the top of the arm. Okay, so we'll just go File and Save, and we're in pose mode, so let's see these working. So if I just in 3D space go G, if I move this, you can see that I can move the entire arm, but the fingers are starting to point towards their IK constraints, and obviously over here I've made a mistake. That was meant to be here, so inverse kinematics, armature, thumb IK, chain length of 2. Right. So if I want it all to move together, I can select all of these and I can press G. Okay, and I'm going to move. Depending how I move, I'll get a different effect. I can, if I want to make a fist, for example, I can take this and I can bring my finger down in here, and now I'm going to find that I haven't, it looks right from one angle but not necessarily from another. Okay, so I might want to move these around. And then okay, and okay, so let's have a look at that with our that on, and then with our armature we'll go back to the armature and we'll turn off in front. So we can have quite a lot of control over the bones. We can get in and we can swap between what's called inverse kinematics and forward kinematics if we want more control over them. But we can get quite a decent sort of setup here. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to just going to save this, and then in our next tutorial, because we're ready to go now, and this is a bit long, this one, in our next tutorial we're going to add some animations to this and then bring this into Unity and place it beside a camera, and have it the animations that we add to it, sort of idle cycles, etc., we'll have them play in Unity and trigger when we press a key or click on a mouse. So we've done quite a bit in this tutorial, so I'll leave it there for now.